everybody, my name is Young-Seok Lee. This time I want to talk about the driver license in Korea. If you come to Korea, sometimes you need to drive in Korea, but it's never easy to get driver license in Korea without proper information. So I will explain the proper thinking way and the option for you. First of all, you have to think whether you have original driver license from your home country or not. For example, if you have original driver license from your home country, you have 3 different options to get permission or license. However, if you don't have any valid driver license from your home country, you have only one option. Later I will talk in detail about one by one, but in this page I will roughly explain the difference between 3 different options. First of all, you can think about the international driver license. Okay? It is definitely easy to get, but it is only valid for 1 year. Secondly, you can think about applying for new Korean driver license. Of course, in this case, it is not easy to get, but if you get this license, you can use the license almost without limitation. Third option is kind of some hybrid between 1 and 2. So this is kind of some exchange of your original driver license from your home country into Korean ones. That is, it means you have to basically have one original driver license from your home country and you can change into Korean one. But there are kind of some limitation and preparation. So you can have 3 options, and I will talk in more detail one by one in the next step. I will talk more detail about the international driver license. International driver license is valid among the agreed countries. There are more than 190 countries are agreed for these international agreements. I tried to present the country who are agreed on these international agreements. At the page, you can see the country names who are agreed on the Geneva Convention. For this convention, there are about 100 countries are joined. At the next page, you can also see the other countries who are joined at the Vienna Convention. Any country which are joined either of these two conventions can allow and issuing international driver license. So, if you are from one of these countries, you can be allowed to use and apply for international driver license. Then I will talk to where to go to apply this license. First of all, you can apply at the police station, or you can go to driver's license examination center. In the center, there are dedicated booths where the officers are dealing with the international driver license. Or you can try at the Incheon International Airport. Or some local government office can handle this. But about this thing, you have to check first. When you're applying for this international driver license, you have to prepare some documentations. First of all, passport. And secondly, you have to prepare original driver license from your home country, and one photo and some 8,500 won for fee. Specifically, I want to say one point. Okay? If you are driving by using international driver license, you are supposed to carry your passport and your original driver license and the international driver license just in case. This time, I will talk about how to get Korea driver license. As I said before, if you don't have any original driver license from your home country, basically you have to follow just one option. Okay? That is, you apply for Korea driver license. There are steps to follow when you're applying for Korea driver license. As you can see from the pictures, there are more than 8 steps. As your first step, you have to take 1 hour lecture. In this lecture, you have some lecture about some overview of related law system and driving knowledge, manners, and how to avoid car accidents, and how to handle some emergency situation. You can get some basic and critical information. Also, you get some lecture about your obligation to some special cases. For example, special care for children, elders, and handicapped people. Okay. And some case, how to deal with ambulance car and emergency vehicle. You have to listen this critical information. Otherwise, you can have get penalty when you have this situation. So, after finishing this 1 hour lecture, next step is you have to go through the physical aptitude test. The doctors will check your eyesight and your capability to distinguish color, hearings, and if you have some disability issue, they will check your level of physical disability. So, after finishing this physical aptitude test, you have to go third step. In third step, you have to take examination like school. This examination, you can choose language among 4 different languages. Of course, the major one is Korean, and the other one is English, and the other options are Chinese and Vietnamese. Originally, many years ago, there was more languages, but recently, the Korean government reduced the other language options. Unfortunately, now there are only 4 languages. 4 language versions are available, so you have to choose among these 4 languages. In this examination, they will check the knowledge about, of course, the related law system and how to drive safely, and check key functions and maintain this functionality, and how to treat in emergency situation. In this examination, you have to get a minimum score based on your some car type of the license. You have to different level of bar score. For example, if you are applying for class 1 type car, you have to get more than 70 score out of 100. But if you are applying for class 2 type, you can pass if you get more than 60 score. Okay, so basically bigger car needs higher score. Okay, so this is third step examination, and fourth step, you have to success in practice test. In this practice test, as you can imagine, you have to prove you can handle the vehicle well. So typically you can imagine that you will take the test at the test site. So you can imagine you have to go through some small curved course and S course and T course, something like that. So if you success all these tests, you can get the training license. Okay, with this training license, exercise for 1 year. Okay, so during this time you can prepare for next step. That is the load test. So I'm not saying you have to wait 1 year. Okay, I'm saying within 1 year you have to success in next step, that is load test. Okay, so basically if you are successful and you have very excellent actual load driving, you can apply for next step. But I can say that it is not never easy as you can imagine. Okay, so it will be better for you to training and exercising enough, and you can apply for next step. There is load test. So basically in load test, the examiner will test whether you are understanding the load signal and actual law system, and you are following some government guideline, and whether actually handling your vehicle well in the load situation. Okay, so where to go to apply this kind of some process? Basically, you can apply for this process at the driver license test center. Basically, all this process you can go through by visiting this place. However, some place it is never easy to visit the government driver license test center. So, In this case, government allowed some authorized private academy for driver license. So if you are consulting them, they can provide in-house kind of some test or education for you. So it means you can have training with the academy, and at the academy you can do examination or test with your faculty in the academy. So many people in remote area are using this private authorized academy to get license. So you can check whether you can use this academy or not. Now I will discuss how to exchange from your original driver license into Korean one. If you understand and remember the way how to get the Korean driver license, you will easily understand this step, because with some documentation or proof from your government organization, you can exempt from some procedure to get license in Korea. There is some short explanation about this system. Okay, so in order to follow this procedure, you have to first check whether your country are qualified for this system or not. So some countries are qualified and the other countries are not qualified. First, you have to check this information from your embassy. For example, if your countries are qualified for this system, you can jump more steps. I mean, you can do it quickly. However, if your countries are not qualified, you have to go through more steps. So it means it will take longer time. So I will explain more some detail about the procedure. In order to apply for this license, you have to first get documents or supporting letter, certificate from your government organization or embassy about your original driving license. Secondly, based on the situation, you are exempt some step of getting license, driver license in Korea. For example, your countries are qualified and you get the qualified driver license. You can only take some physical aptitude test, and you can get Korean driver license in exchange of your original driver license. So in order to apply for these changes, where should I go? Where should you go? So of course, you have to go to driver license test center to get and apply for this license change. And based on visa type and residence status, there are difference in preparation and fees. So you have to check which kind of preparation and documentation are needed. About this more detailed information, I recommend you first contact your embassy to check detail.
तेरी मैं ता जागा रातां नू रोक न पावा अखियां विचों गम दियां बरसातां नू तारे गिन गिन याद च तेरी मैं ता जागा रातां नू रोक न पावा अखियां विचों गम दियां बरसातां नू ओ
Now I'll discuss about the Korea driver's insurance system. In Korea, we have mandatory driver's insurance system. However, important thing is not all the car insurance, driver insurance, which are presented by insurance company are mandatory. In order to use properly this driver's insurance system, you have to understand the basic structure and items of the driver's insurance system. In this section, I will try to explain the general structure of driver's insurance in Korea. First, as you shown in the PowerPoint page, the first section is the personal indemnity. This item is for personal damage by your accident. This is a mandatory section, government. Okay? And the second one is the personal indemnity 2. As you can see, personal indemnity has a limitation to back up more some potential damage for others. Many people are using the personal indemnity 2, but this personal indemnity 2 is not mandatory. You can use it as optional, but you have to understand that many people are using personal indemnity 2 because by using this, by backupping this, you can be exempt from the prosecution. So about this matter, you have to check in detail when you joining and using and buying insurance. Okay. And third one is the indemnity, basic. Okay. This one is also mandatory. So this is for when there is accident. This is for potential damage by yourself to other people's asset or object. Okay. This is option mandatory. And the other one is in the next section also there is kind of some indemnity advanced. Okay. This is more some kind of with your some damage. It is for more damage by yourself for the other people's asset or object. Okay, so this is optional. You can freely choose based on your situation. And own body injury. Next item is own body injury. As you can see, when there is a car accident, there are some huge risk to damaging yourself. So many people are selectively some based on their needs. They are designing this item. Also, this is optional. And the other one is the item for own vehicle damage. Okay, as you can imagine, if there is a car accident, probably your car will have some damage. Okay, about that matter, you have to make some backup by insurance. Okay, you can think about that. So this is also optional, okay? But one thing I can say that generally you can think about that. If you bought a new car recently, maybe your car will be very expensive, okay? If there is some car accident, you will have to spend a lot of money and you will lose a lot of some your precious asset, okay? In that case, you can use this item. However, you have more than 30 years car and so you think your old car, used car is very cheap and some not worth, never worth to use big money. In that case, you are supposed to not using this item, so not paying for this item and back offing your vehicle. Okay, you can think that kind of some selection based on your car condition. Okay, and the last one the item is the backup plan for uninsured damage. Okay, in many cases there are accidents which are done by the uninsured vehicle. So about this matter, this is a general item for protecting yourself. So considering so this is kind of general stereotype of the item of the most of the driver's insurance in Korea. So as I said before, at the first time, at the beginning, there are only two mandatory items for every drivers in Korea. Okay, one is the personal indemnity 1 and indemnity basic. Those two things are basic and mandatory for all the drivers, and the other one is you can choose based on your situation. So if you understand your situation, as I said, you can wisely choose and spend your money on this driver's insurance. In addition, I want to add one more point. In this structure, in the last point, I write down the others. Okay, others. You can see the small letter tow truck and etc. Okay, when there is some kind of your car is just suddenly not working on the highway, how can you handle this issue? Okay, in this something like this very troublesome situation, you can use this emergency service from the insurance company. To use this kind of service, you have to buy and choose some item for this service from when you join this driver's insurance program. So this is very helpful, specifically when you are using and your vehicle is somewhat more than 10 years. You have to think about this option. Now we can discuss about the car accidents. Just in case, if you have car accident, what you should do? Most people doesn't have experience about car accidents. Suddenly, if you have car accidents, you can lose your mind. Okay? But please remember that if you go away without handling properly, you can be seriously penalized or put into jail by police. So this is a very critical topic you have to understand when driving in Korea. If you have a car accident, there are critical 4 steps for you to follow. First of all, you have to stop the car. Please stop. And you have to move to the more safe place nearby. Okay? Second step, you have to check whether there are injured people or not. If there are some injured people, you have to properly act based on situation. If there are injured people, very emergency situation, you have to call to 119. Okay? If you are just not doing this kind of procedure, you can be regarded a criminal which intentionally run away from the site. Okay? Third step, if there is you stop the car and there is no some injured people, or even though there are some injured people, you handled properly the injured people with some calling ambulance. After that, you can gather the proof and evidence of the accident. Okay, for example, you can take picture of the car and accident site and from many angles, and also you can try to secure witness, okay, who have seen the site and the accident itself. Okay, many things you have to gather the evidence and proof, and then you have to, for the final step, you have to call to police station, and you have to call to your insurance agent. Specifically, I want to emphasize this point, okay? By the Korean law, in case of a personal injury, you are supposed to report to police. Only exception for very minor injuries, okay? I'm saying very, very minor injury. So, if you are seeing there are kind of some potential risk or kind of some potential risk, you have to, it will be better to call to police. So it is your obligation to some properly handling and reporting to police when there is some accident which are involving in some injured people. Okay. So without this, following this action, some procedure, you can be very tough situation. If you cannot judge it properly, you can call to your some insurance agent to asking help what to do. Okay, and your insurance agent can give you some guidance and support to at that situation. As a final topic, I want to discuss about regular inspection for car. If you own a car, basically you have to do regular inspection for car. There are two types of the regular inspection. One is for personal usage, okay? So if you are using the car by personal purpose, you have to do regular inspection by 2 years. Once 2 years. Once 2 years. However, if you are using a vehicle for business usage, you have to do regular inspection once a year. And by the class and size of your car, there are differences in the inspection fee. Basically, bigger car has the bigger inspection fee. You can think about that. And for this inspection, basically you can visit the inspection center operated by government organization, or you can visit authorized some private service provider. For many people, and some who it's never easy to visit government organization, so many Korean also visit the authorized private service provider. You can choose among these kind of some options. However, if you are not doing regular inspection, you have some get meaningful penalty for not doing properly inspection. So you have to pay some penalty in order to use your car continuously. Thank you everybody for listening to my lecture via online. I think it is never easy to doing lecture via online. Also, I feel same feeling like you. Listening to lecture via online is never easy and never fun. But I hope some information we discussed can help you in some situation in the future. I hope Happy New Year to everybody, and I want to see you face to face in near future. Bye bye.